What's up, guys? In today's video here, I got a bunch of cars together. Well, we got four cars together, as you've already seen. We've got Angel's GTCS here. Michael brought his Whipple car by for us to use today. Paul's got the Procharger car, and Joel brought the Turbo Coyote car I put together earlier last year for him. Whenever he got his new TKM engine and everything, that car absolutely rips and gets down. So the whole purpose of this video today is I want to show you guys the difference in power adders. So we've got four different cars here. One is Angel's pretty much bone stock Coyote car. It's got muffler delete and resonator delete and a catch cam. That's literally nothing. No drive shaft, sorry. Has a drive shaft. Nothing else. This car is just completely stock. So we're going to take this car out, drive it, and say, oh, you know, this is what a stock Coyote drives like, yada, yada, yada. If you have a Coyote, you already know. If you don't have a Coyote, maybe this helps you decide whether or not you want to buy one. The next car that we've got is going to be Michael's S550. It's silver. It's got a Gen 5 3-liter Whipple supercharger. That's going to be your positive displacement blower. This car is going to be just tire shredding torque down low and fantastic drivability. But this car is borderline sketch. This car makes just enough power that the tires that are on it don't really want to hold up to anything more than what it's already putting down. This car makes roughly 760 wheel according to the mass airflow charts. It hasn't been dynoed or anything, but according to how much airflow it's moving, that's about what it makes. Now the next car that we've got here is going to be Paul's Procharger car. Prochargers are centrifugal superchargers, whereas your Whipple is going to be your positive displacement. That's going to be like instant power, instant torque. It sits on top of the motor. As soon as you touch it, instant power. With your centrifugals, this is where you're going to start having basically a belt-driven turbo in a sense. So like the harder you rev it, the higher the RPMs, the more power it's going to make, right? But the cool thing about the Prochargers is they are really loud all the time because they're always making power. They're always making boost. They don't stop. So the advantage of that is you get this really loud, obnoxious, all right, bypass valve that bleeds off all this air. So like when you're riding through car shows downtown, you are the center of attention. And me personally, I like that. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot more boring red light to red light. Your positive displacement blower is gonna be a lot more fun red light to red light. And it's definitely a very, very enjoyable setup. We're gonna drive that in a minute. We're also gonna drive Paul's car here in a minute. Now we do have to be cautious on Paul's car. I will tell you, this car dynoed 825 to the rear tires in fourth gear at Mustang Week on VMP's dyno. This car did really, really well. Drove home with almost no issues. We ended up having a fuel pressure regulator that died. That totally irrelevant to that whole situation. We bought a used fuel system, and that was just one of the things you get when you buy used parts. Highly recommend buy once, cry once, buy it new, be done. Don't buy used stuff. That's the problems that you run into, and that's the problem that we had. But this car made 825. I don't remember the torque on that. I'll get it to you in a minute. But this car only has a 700 horsepower rated McLeod single disc street extreme clutch in it. I put it in years ago, so it has many thousands of miles of abuse and then a blower added to it, and it's at the end of its life. If you put it on a sticky tire, if we put the slicks on this car, it will annihilate the clutch before we ever make a full RPM pull. So we're going to be easy on this car today. We are not going to absolutely rip the piss out of it, but we are going to take it out and enjoy it and have some fun. Now the last car that we've got here today is going to be Joel's 2011 turbo car. It is a factory 6R80. It is a factory 6R80 2011 Mustang GT. It is a premium, so it is a little bit heavier. It's got the door subs, the nice stereo, stuff like that. This car, a friend of mine actually bought it first and kind of built this car. It is just a base on-3 single 8096 kit. He has upgraded turbos since then. This car went 980s on foot brake like it was nothing, and the car would not leave. He couldn't get it figured out. He only got a couple passes, had engine issues. Well, Joel ended up putting a TKM built motor in this car, 2,000 horsepower motor, and this car has been, I think, a best of 867 or something like that. And it is now, instead of on an 8096, it's now on an 8589, which, it seems like it's doing okay or struggling to get it. I think he's struggling to get it back where it was, but he's definitely on the uphill side of that now because he found some transmission issues. And turns out all that stuff plays hand in hand. If it doesn't sync up and mesh perfectly, then you're going to have a bad time. But he brought this car by today. We're going to go out and take a ride in it as well. This car does have a cage and only 2 front seats because it is a drag and drive based car. So it is going to be something that you can drive anywhere and everywhere. He drove it 45 minutes or an hour just to come hang out with us today so that we can shoot this video for you guys. Now, the biggest thing that I want people to notice on this stuff is we're going to drive the turbo car, the centrifugal car, the positive displacement displacement car, and the stock car. And hopefully this helps you kind of decide if, you know, hey, if I'm wanting to buy a power adder, which one might be best for my personality or my lifestyle? What might be the best for my driving style? Which one might I like the most? Or maybe you just don't know the difference in all of these, and this kind of helps show you where your differences are. Now, your turbo car is going to have a lot of lag, so down low, you know, it's going to be a little lazy, hesitant to come on. When it comes on, it's going to come on really strong. Having said that, I'm going to roll right on into, let's take Angel's car for a drive first. We'll start with the stock NA car, then we'll come back to the positive displacement car, then the Sentry car, and then the turbo car. And oddly enough, I actually did that for a reason. We'll go from no power adder to positive displacement, which is going to be the most horsepower, the most torque right on the hit. Like as soon as you snap the throttle, you're going to have instant power. Then we'll go to the centrifugal, where your horsepower and torque will differentiate a whole bunch. Like this car made like 825, but it only made like 700 pound-foot. You know, is way down on the torque side. That's just how centrifugals are, because the power comes in past the peak torque curve. That's the reason why these cars work really good on the street. They don't spin because they don't make a gobs of torque. Now, the other car though, the turbo car, whereas we went from positive displacement to centrifugal, this car is going to act like a belt-driven turbo. All the power's up top. Then we're going to step to the turbo car that's actually probably making somewhere between 12 and 1300 in that ballpark range. So we will be going from slowest to fastest as well. So that stuff will be kind of factored in as well as we go in and make these drives. So stay tuned and let's go find out how these things drive. All right, guys, so we're taking Angel's car out first. We're just going to go for like a leisurely ride. There's no reason to like beat on her or nothing. Plus, we've only got like 38 miles to empty because she always leaves it low for me. So we'll see how this thing drives, which we know how it drives like a stock car, but we'll start with something comfortable before we start getting into the stuff that's a little less easy to live with every day. Muffler deleted, resonator deleted. Stock deleted, yeah. Stock header, stock cat, stock H-pipe. Somebody just cut them out and welded in a straight pipe. That's all it's
sound like a box of smash.
It's weird, isn't it?
Normally they sound horrible. I actually enjoy that.
Yeah, this one doesn't sound that bad. It's probably one of the better sounding Coyotes. Like, I wish it still had the resonators, because it still has a little bit of brass when the RPMs start coming up.
Does it drone? I don't know if the wind is up.
No, this thing is super quiet all the time.
Man, I like the way this car sounds.
She bought this car coming up, let's see, it was a year in July, and it had 113,000 miles. It's got 120 now. She don't drive it much. It mostly sits in the garage.
Beautiful car. I like it.
The guy that had it before hit a deer with it. He done something on that side, scuffed the skirt. It's got a bunch of rock chips and stuff, and so she'll nitpick this thing to death and tell you how crappy of a car it is, but it's really not. So far, the fastest this car's been, I think, is 13.3.
Whatever you ran it.
13.3, 13.2.
Like 105.6.
Yeah, 105. I think it's the fastest it's
Has it
been so
even got
far.
a tune? So it's stock as a rock.
Now we shaved 2/10 just by putting a drive shaft in it. Put an aluminum one piece in it, shaved 2/10.
See, that's the kind of stuff that a lot of people dig, seeing people do. Look at what Kelly Aiken's doing with the 2024s.
Mm-hmm.
They've started out at what, 13 something, and they're down into the NA without a tune. They're down into the, I forget what they're down into, but they're down into like 12.
Stevens Steeda is 1103 right now.
Naturally
1103.
aspirated.
And then did you see what JPC's was?
Yeah.
950s on a 200 shot.
Damn.
Couple of these back here is mine.
not abandoned because I live in it, but yeah.
Just an old farmhouse. It's just nice having something that works sometimes.
Yep.
Car needs a converter though. You know what's funny is we took the subwoofers out of the back of this car. It had a 200-pound set of subs in the back, and they were in it the day we got it, and we never messed with it. And we took them out. Didn't it slow it down that day, Paul?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Having the weight in it.
Yeah, I think having the weight over the, well, it was actually just in front of the rear tire because it was mounted on the package tray.
Yeah.
But it actually, I think it lost a little bit of time. Like we were having a hard time getting it to leave as good. It started developing a little bit of wheel spin, and that's on the ET Street R's, or SS. It's on ET Street SS's. That's what it's on right now. That's what it daily's on. She drives on these every day. Well, when she drives it, this thing ain't come out of the garage in 2 or 3 weeks.
It's just nice and quiet.
She shocked me when she said she wanted to buy a Mustang. When we got rid of the Explorer, she was like, I want to buy a Mustang. I said, you what? She says, yeah, I want one.
Did I just love you more?
I said, did you really say you wanted a Mustang? I mean, I'm down.
She's enjoying it too, though.
She seems to.
When I say her to track, she seems to.
She's really timid. Like, she doesn't like getting into new things. Like, she's very, very hesitant to try new things. So, like, when it comes to, like, hey, let's take the car out and let's practice launch it and stuff, no, she doesn't want to. But then after you finally get her to do it, she wants to keep doing it. So, see, I told you. Once I can finally get you to commit, then you like it.
Can't have anybody there either.
No, you can't. She doesn't want nobody there. She don't want nobody to see her. She's scared to embarrass herself. And I'm like, why? Just, you've got to start somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere. But, I mean, she's come a really long ways in the last year.
What's the fastest she's been?
13. She go 1330 in this. She did. She was the one that ran the 1330.
I think
With the drive shaft, yeah. So her 1330 so far, she's like, I just want a big Procharger because I want it to be loud and flashy, but I don't want it to be no faster. And I'm like, give it a little more time.
Yeah, we'll just open the wastegate.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she wants. She wants the bypass just to bleed it all off.
Just put her big speaker in it.
It's funny because we went on to Mustang Week. We were riding down the strip, and me, Kaylee, Bennett, and Angel was all riding in the car, and Paul's behind us, and we go, look, we have a Procharger.
So like,
all right, we're gonna sound like Paul now.
3,
Riding on the strip.
2, 1.
Look, we got a blower too. we were doing it out the window.
sir, your tire has a leak.
It must have hit something really big.
I still remember the first time I met you over, we were going to
Bojangles, we were going to Wilkesboro.
and you drove around the building. No, it was McDonald's over in Elizabeth, but it was Bojangles too. You drove around the other side of the building, and I was behind the building. I was like, what the God? What? And I was like, I looked at Chad and I went, can't sneak up on nobody in that thing.
No. I absolutely loved it. That thing was the most perfect setup for me. And I sold that blower and ended up buying the exact same blower back off the guy I sold it to for like almost $1,000 less than what I sold it to him for. So I got it back for even cheaper. And I put it right back on the car. I went to Nitrous while it was gone. And the Nitrous stuff it just wasn't nothing for me because 150 shot was nothing compared to what I'd been used to. You know, the car made 700 before, and then when I put the blower back on it, I turned it up even more, and the car was making about 1,000 wheel when I sold it. It was making like 940, 960.
Yeah, I think that's what it dynoed out, if I remember.
It dynoed 780 and ran out of fuel, and then I put that fuel system in it, and then I ran out of injector, and they said it was somewhere, according to the mass air that it was moving, it was somewhere around 930, 940 wheel.
You can tell by the volume of air, apparently.
Yeah, if you
At
look
least that's what people have told me.
Yeah, if you look at your mass flow pound per minute, it translates over to like rear wheel horsepower, like very close. It ain't perfect, but it's very close. And if I remember correctly,
Ken was dead on with mine.
Ken was dead on. Ken said, oh, Paul's Procharger cars should make 825, 830, something like that. He ended up making 825 in fourth gear, probably 850 in fifth, which is actual 1-to-1.
Right.
But he was all over it. He literally hit a nail on the head.
Ken.
Bajones owns Palm Beach Dino.
Okay.
Yeah, he was all over Paul's car. He said, oh, it should make this, and it was literally within a couple horsepower. It was dead on. And they also said that mine should have been around low 9 something. So it was literally injectors and a torque converter away from running 920s because the guy that bought it did it. He put a set of ID 1700s in it and put a Circle D converter in. I think he said he put a 4C in it. And the car ended up going like 138 to the 60 foot and ran a 920 at 156.
Hey, look, all the cars are still here.
No, they are still here.
That's good.
I think I like my car.
We would have heard them still all the way where we were at. Well, did you do any assessment while we drove? We just talked about it.
We did talk about it.
I don't think we talked bad about anybody.
No.
Well,
So-
you did say Angela she didn't like to try new things, but that's okay.
She does not like to try new things. She is very timid to try
You'll
new
pay
things.
for that later.
It doesn't have to make it in the video.
Why is there no? Why are y'all talking? I see your lips moving, but there's no words.
So what's y'all's opinion of the car as it sits? I mean, like, compared to, you drive one all the time. You drive one all the time. How's this compared to yours?
I like it. It's nice and normal.
It is normal.
It's normal. I mean, even compared to my Shelby,
This one doesn't smell like E85.
that's true.
Yeah.
But even compared to the Shelby, I mean, now the Shelby, because it's got big wide wheels and tires, you get a lot of wheel tire noise. You don't get that out of this car. But I like it. It's a
This car's also on bi-supply front runner skinnies all the time and 275s in the back, but
I didn't really feel it.
no, you don't. It works. It works well.
I'm jealous. She has a really nice car.
She does have a nice one. I definitely like it. If I buy another one, because my car is a base model, if I buy another one, I want the Cali Special.
Yeah, these seats are supple.
These are actually suede too.
I know.
They're leather and suede, and they're heated. My car didn't have none of that.
You got bun warmers or cedar heaters, as
Yep.
Jared calls them.
Cedar heaters, yeah.
I like
Yep.
it. And it's a good looking car.
Yeah, it's got the carbon dash and everything. Like, it's got just the right subtle touches.